Am I really that much to handle? Breaking these niggas down like a gamble. You don't really to blow you up.
You know you were made for more, right? You were born to serve a purpose. So why are you choosing to be mediocre? Why are you refusing to take up space? Why would you not let your light shine? Hi stars, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Right? Today's topic is packed, so please stay tuned. So I recently wrote a blog where I was sharing how my mom and just my grandma and literally like the women from my mom's side of the family are very matriarchal. So I grew up always understanding that women can hold power, but not even just that. I've always seen the role of a woman beyond just nurturing and caring for her home. And this doesn't mean that my mom was a provider. It doesn't mean that my dad did not perform his role, but I've just always known that a woman was made for more, right? So this is what's inspired this topic today. And guess what? This is actually biblical. So I've bumped into a few TikTok videos that have shared their sentiments about Christianity and the Bible, saying it's misogynistic, where in the fact God has always identified as a woman to be made for purpose, to be made for more. I mean, look at the Proverbs 31 woman. She wasn't just sitting there doing things for herself. So, backstory. I like to explore. This can be quite a dangerous thing. I need to stop it. But I like to explore and understand other people's point of view. So one of which is with religion. So sometimes I like to understand what the non-Christians are saying about Christians. And I bumped into a video that was talking about Queen Esther and how the Bible is very misogynistic and patriarchal, and how and someone was like, yet they call God a girl dad, and it's like God is actually a girl dad, and I'm going to prove it to you. So I had to go back to my Bible. This is why they say to know your word, to not depend on knowing about God from social media or from other people, right? So I had to go back to my Bible and I was like, because it was kind of making sense. Like, yeah, actually. So are you telling me that this Esther was this and Esther? Because I've always seen the story of Esther as an empowerment story, a woman that started off as a slave and she became the queen and she used her position for good. So when these girls were talking about God is not a girl dad, because Esther was literally a slave, she was literally paraded for the king, blah blah blah. I'm like, right, I need to go back to my Bible, I need to go back to the basics, I need to go back to my quiet time with God. So in the process of going back to my quiet time with God, some verses struck out to me, and it coincidentally I was already planning to write a blog on my page, on my Substack and my Medium, about how I grew up in a matriarchal home and how that has sort of shaped me to become a woman that is a go-getter and a woman that is not afraid to take charge and to be a leader. So yes, this is what inspired this YouTube video, because I'm like, definitely there's a message that is being passed out right now. There's definitely something out there that relates to this that God wants someone to know. So let's talk about how you can be the girliest girl ever but still be a woman who builds. It's not one or the other. I promise you, this is not a religious video and it's not going to be too Bible based, but of course it's still going to be grounded in the Bible. So we're going to look at two Bible verses. We're going to look at 1 Peter 3 verse 3 to 4, and we're also going to look at Proverbs 31, which is a very popular Bible verse about a good woman. But we're going to be specifically looking at verse 16 to 17. So let's look at 1 Peter 3 verse 3 to 4. It says that your beauty should not come from outward adornment, rather it should be that of your inner self. This is a very simplified version. I like to use simplified version of the Bible, not because it cuts away from anything, but it just kind of goes straight to the point and it helps me to understand what I'm reading easily. So again, it says like she's clothed with strength and dignity and she can laugh for the days to come. So this book of the Bible was specifically written by Apostle Peter, who was one of Jesus's closest disciples, and he specifically wrote this verse to women. So he acknowledges that as a woman, there's the physical beauty side of you, yes, but you must also make sure that you're nurturing your inner beauty, right? So this brings me back to my point about you can be a girly girl, you can look after your body, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, the clothes that you wear, but you can still make sure that you are building something. And building something doesn't necessarily have to be a business. It's just in terms of your values, the way you put yourself out there, the way you position yourself out to the world. People know that you're a woman of substance, that you're made of more because you are made of more. There's literally light inside of you, and we deserve to see you shine that light. We deserve to enjoy, to bask in the goodness of the light that you carry. So then let's look at our second Bible verse. It's from Proverbs 31:16-17. And it says, she considers a field and buys it. She sets about her work vigorously. Right? So you can see that the Bible has always referred to women as people who carry value in terms of their physical beauty, because yes, your beauty is valuable. It's a very useful asset, a very useful tool. I'm not saying that you sell yourself, no, but I'm saying that you can use your appearance to open doors for you. Don't feel guilty for doing that, but that when the door is opened, what leaves that door open? Right? So it's your inner beauty, it's your substance, your value. And this is what Proverbs 31 verse 16-17 is saying. It's saying that she considers a field and buys it. She sets about her work vigorously. So you're not mundane, you're not doing mundane things, you're going vigorous about your work. No one is asking you to work till you burn yourself out. But it's really just again, proverbs are proverbs, right? They're adages. It's really talking about how a woman can make good value, good substance, how she can make smart decisions, right? So this is a very wise financial decision that the Proverbs 31 woman has done, right? She sees a field and she buys it. She makes calculated risk, right? So again, this goes back to the way you carry yourself, the fact that you can be a girly girl but still be a woman who builds, right? Literally, a Proverbs 31 woman is a woman who builds. So a good example of this is with my corporate career. When I first joined corporate, I was trying to decide how to show up. Do I want to give the mean, no nonsense girl? I was thinking perhaps I should hide the girly girl side of me and maybe not dress fashionable to work so I can be taken seriously. And then I realized that why will I shrink myself or change myself to fit anybody's standard, right? So I decided to show up very girly. I show up to work well dressed up. Of course, I wasn't treating it like a fashion show. I wasn't dressing inappropriately, but I always wore clothes that made me feel good, that expressed my femininity. But when it came down to my job, I still did my job well. Right? So oftentimes a lot of women think that being in corporate, you kind of, or not just in corporate, in any place or space where you hold power or where you have to show up. A lot of times women think that you kind of have to choose one or the other, or you kind of have to shrink your femininity or hide your femininity, whereas that's not the case. So really, being girly girl doesn't mean that you can't be a woman who build. And sometimes as well, I feel like in our generation we get so caught up with, of course this is not for everybody, but to say that, sometimes we get so into the a man is a provider lecture. It's very easy to get into that on TikTok, and then you forget that a man is a provider, and he has to provide for you as his woman, as the head of his home, but it doesn't mean that you can't have something for yourself. It doesn't mean that you can't build something that you find valuable. It doesn't mean that you can't use your intrinsic values for good, right? And yes, I think that this is one key knowledge that we need to do. I feel like this is such an older Gen Z type of problem. I think a lot of the younger Gen Zs are very outspoken about matriarchy and fuck the patriarchy, but I think maybe it's just in my circle, or maybe I've just observed wrongly, but from what I've observed, I feel like it's very common among the older Gen Z to sort of focus on the man providing, and they assume that being a soft woman equals to being a woman who doesn't do anything valuable. She sort of has to just sit at home and cook the food and be in a divine feminine era. And all of these things are true and all of these things are good. But why not be in your divine feminine era and cook yourself food from scratch and still be a woman who shop for yourself, right? For yourself. Everything I'm talking about in this video is all about you as a woman. I want you to use your light. I want you to let your light shine. I want you to let people see how much substance and value that you have. I want you to feel connected to who you are on the inside, right? We are all born with talents. We are all born with gifts. We are all born with something that makes us unique. And I want you to know that you're not bound to just be in the kitchen or bound to just wear makeup and bound to just wear wigs and bound to just look good. Like, you are made for more. You deserve to nurture that gift. That's something, that spark within you that makes you different from the other girls, right? It's not just about makeup. I want you to be the woman, the special woman that it's like, I love this Legally Blonde film a lot because I feel like that's such a good example that we can use.
Miss Wyndham, what had you done earlier that day?
I got up, got a latte, went to the gym, got a perm, and came home.
Well, you got in the shower?
I believe the witness has made it clear that she was in the shower.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Wyndham, had you ever gotten a perm before?
Yes,
How many would you say?
2 a year since I was 12. You do the math.
You know, a girl in my sorority, Tracy Marcinko, got a perm once. We all tried to talk her out of it. Curls weren't a good look for her. She didn't have your bone structure. But thankfully, that same day, she entered the Beta Delta Pi wet t-shirt contest where she was completely hosed down from head to toe.
Objection. Why is this relevant?
Oh, I have a point, I promise.
Then make it.
Yes, Chutney, why is it that Tracy Marcinko's curls were ruined when she got hosed down?
Because they got wet?
Exactly. Because isn't it the first cardinal rule of perm maintenance that you're forbidden to wet your hair for at least 24 hours after getting a perm at the risk of deactivating the ammonium thioglycolate?
Yes.
And wouldn't somebody who's had, say, 30 perms before in their life be well aware of this rule? And if, in fact, you weren't washing your hair, as I suspect you weren't because your curls are still intact, wouldn't you have heard the gunshot? And if, in fact, you had heard the gunshot, Brooke Wyndham wouldn't have had time to hide the gun before you got downstairs, which would mean that you would have had to have found Mrs. Wyndham with a gun in her hand to make your story plausible. Isn't that right?
She's my age. Did she tell you that? How would you feel if your father married someone who was your age?
You, however, had time to hide the gun, didn't you, Chutney? After you shot your father.
I didn't mean to shoot him. I thought it was you walking through the door.
Order!
So she's underestimated because she's this girl that looks clueless. She looks like how they say the pretty blonde girls are they're unintelligent or they're dumb. So she comes in, she's looking, all glammed up, all pink and sparkly, and she looks like she doesn't know a thing, but she goes ahead to prove these people different. The colleagues who looked down on her, who made fun of her, she goes ahead to prove them otherwise. And she wasn't, at first she was doing it for her boyfriend, but then she realized that actually I'm doing this for myself because of the change that I want to make, because of the impacts that I want to make. And she did it in her own way, right? So this is what I'm talking about when I say that you have substance within you have value within you have something that makes you different from the world. You don't have to do things the way that other people are doing it. Do it your own way and let yourself shine. Do something that brings you goodness and you're like, girl, I got it. So then there's the other side of it as well, which is something I'm working on. So since I started my business, I found that, and since I locked in hard on content as well, I found that I have to film content on Saturday or Sunday, and then I have to catch up on business admin on the weekends as well. And yeah, I found that my self-care routine It's kind of like suffering for it. And this is what I mean when I say that you are that being that girl is not just about building, and it's not just about being a girly girl. It's about being able to find the balance. So I have to keep telling myself that because I am building a business does not stop me from being a girl. Like, I am literally just a girl, right? So there's the other side where sometimes women get so carried away in, like I said earlier, when I started my corporate career, I was trying to decide whether to be one of those women that lock in hard life, just to prove a point that I'm not going to allow these men to mess with me, right? So it's very easy to sort of fall into that category of women, and it's very easy to sort of become the girl that only cares about external beauty. So my point is not to categorize women and say this is where you should fall under, but my point is I just strongly believe that every woman is made with something special. I believe strongly in the power of a woman, spiritually, physically, emotionally. There is no other being like a woman. Like, as a woman, you are God's special creature. There is nothing that can compare to the power of a woman. So I'm really passionate about empowering younger women to understand their spiritual power. And I guess the next set of topics on my YouTube video, the next videos, is maybe it's going to be like a series where I really break down what it means to be a woman, because you are powerful, right? So yeah, that's my point. My point is not to categorize women into a box. And it's not to tell women what to do, but it's really just to advocate for the power that you have in you. The fact that your beauty alone is an asset. Girl, when you then lay down that wig, or you have a nice hairdo if you're not a black girl, and you have your makeup done, your outfit is on point, girl, you're looking fly. Like, you're so on flick. You look so good, Imagine like the power that comes. You can't tell me you don't know what I'm talking about. Like, when you look so good, you're taking snaps of yourselves and you feel so empowered. You know what I mean. You know just what I mean, right? Imagine the power that comes from that. Now imagine if you took it further and you nurtured your inner beauty. You become unstoppable. I'm not even trying to gas you up right now. You become an unstoppable force. So I just want a lot of women to become more unstoppable forces. But if you're like, this isn't for me, like, that's fine too. Do you, bro? I love the fact that we live in a society where women can choose how they want to show up and still be accepted. So that's really key. That's really important. So for me, how I choose to show up in society is being soft, I love pink, so I love wearing pink. I love being expressive with my fashion, with my beauty. I like looking after myself. It's how I choose to show up in society, but I also choose to show up with the values inside of me, with the substance, with what I bring to the table, because I know that I'm not small and you're not small either. So yeah, for me, being a gay girl is not just about being soft, and neither is it about being strong. I don't like hard life. For me, it's about having a structure that balances both and embraces both sides of me. As always, girls, thank you so much for watching. I would really love to hear your thoughts, because this topic is one that I find very interesting, especially in the society that we live in now, where there's a lot of different debates when it comes to relationships and roles, gender roles, in the family, in society. So I just really want to know your thoughts. Also, kindly like, share, and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. Support a small YouTuber today. Help your girl grow, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.